All right, happy Friday
Happy
to
Friday, bud.
you.
How are you?
I'm doing great, and it's a great day. It's over here in Phoenix
It's hot.
lately. But if you get a cloudy day, it's very unusual. And today's cloudy.
It's
We
kind of a
I
relief, probably.
Yeah, it is actually. It's gonna be hot though.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to get rain all weekend long, and we need it. Everything is dying around here.
Oh, sure.
We haven't had this kind of non-rain in forever, and here's what keeps happening. A big storm will come, and I can see lightning and thunder to the south of me, and it's like, here it comes. And then I see lightning and thunder to the east of me and to the north of me, and sometimes to the west. Nothing above me.
Huh.
I've gotten like 2 drops of rain in the last, I don't know, 30 days.
That makes me think, isn't it supposedly forest fire season in California?
It is. We don't really. I mean, we've gotten a couple of fires out here in
Yeah.
Arizona too. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Canada's been a mess.
Well,
Oh,
it
by the
really.
way, welcome to Over 50 starting over, everyone. I'm Barry Edwards.
And I'm Merle Garrison. Yeah, the weather systems this year have been weird. The fires, of course, the Maui fire that we see happening, and everything that
Oh,
they've had to deal
God.
with.
That's
And
awful.
oh my gosh, everything that we see, it's
I
just
just can't believe
heartbreaking
what
and
happened
crushing.
there. You
No.
know, I was listening to a report on that this morning about how this is awful, but how the real estate tycoons and ultra rich are offering these poor, devastated people pennies on the dollar for their property. And there was a news report, an interview with a person saying how the indigenous people of Hawaii are losing their homes, and it's just becoming a mega rich mecca for Oprah and Bezos and what's his name from
um,
Facebook and all these people.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, what's his name from Facebook? He put up a gigantic fence around his gigantic piece of Maui, and they're like, you can't even see anywhere. It's a total obstruction, and all they care about are themselves and not the people that actually have generations of tradition there. And that's too bad. We've seen it go on forever in America. We'd be driving around the beautiful areas of Florida, and I'd be thinking, like, this area that we're driving through is such a limited piece of land, and no one else is ever allowed to step foot on it because some rich person had the opportunity to buy it up. And I thought about there's pluses and minuses to that. And the pluses is that when our country was young, it was a land of opportunity. And so you could be nobody and rise to become somebody and to own some things and to have a great life. But then there's a peak to everything, and there's a downside, the downside of everything. And we're on that part now where uh, now the mega rich, I just saw a report yesterday that said, for the first time, we've had all this millionaires have lost status. So many millionaires have lost their status. And it was in this kind of a framework of, oh, see, the mega rich are not prospering, and I was like, this is, everybody in the comments section said the same thing. Total BS, the way you're framing this. What happened is people that were barely making millionaire status have been slipping, just like the entire middle class has been slipping, because you get eaten up by the real fat cats.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's
exactly.
what's going on. And
The
that's what's
millionaires
happening.
are not the fat cats. In
Yeah,
fact,
no,
and because
mega
of
millionaires.
inflation, millionaires are really more like thousandaires now.
Yes.
It's just,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
That's the
it's
point.
crazy. You need at least $1 billion to have any kind of clout anymore.
My God. I
And
mean, no, seriously, 100 mil would get you by pretty good. 10 mil would get you by pretty good. But a million that's middle class these days
well,
with what is
when you're
happening.
talking about these guys out in Hawaii, I mean, I read that Oprah's got 1,000 acres of land on Maui. Richard
Wow.
Branson's got land out there. All of these guys, the guys you named, Zuckerberg from
That's his name.
Facebook, he's got all
Right.
that land too. So they've crowded out the normal people, and they've driven up sky high because of how much they've paid for the land. They've driven up the property values so that no normal person can possibly exist out
all
there.
across the US too.
And
I mean, the younger people, look at your kids, and they're hardly kids anymore, you know, they're late 20s, 30. They can't, and of course they're in California, but I don't care if they're in Indiana. We've talked about it before, how and it always comes back to, if you trace it all the way to the top, you're going to these hedge funds that are
that's a
buying, yeah,
yep.
and Bill Gates,
Mm.
people like that are buying up all of the property, and it's really artificially, they're controlling the market, the real
They
estate
really
market,
are. They
and
absolutely are.
creating renters, virtually almost enslaving people as far as livability goes.
Well, this is where the whole 2030 agenda coming from
Yeah.
the WEF comes into play, where you'll own nothing and love it. And
Yeah.
it's that last part that really gets me, is that how are they going to make us love it?
Yeah.
I love it.
I
It's just
just wonder if our middle class, you know, it's almost a misnomer anymore, but if our middle class is big enough and smart enough to find a way to overcome this, to
you know,
reclaim.
this is the big deal, right? It's getting information out to the people and doing it really on a person by person basis. I think
Yeah.
that talking to people, even on a mass basis, mass media, I think really with the message that we have, it has to be, we're doing what we do here on our podcast, but even just talking to your neighbor and talking to your family
Yeah.
member. And some people are going to be closed and some people are going to be open. If you're closed, move on.
That's a
Uh,
problem, because the media is owned by, and this is a point that I had in my notes for today. We kind of just zoomed right into things, but got to tell you, yesterday, YouTube came out with a new policy, a statement about they're doubling down on, quote, misinformation
don't,
censorship.
I mean,
They're
that should be
doubling
a
down on it.
big red
And this is
flag.
my point. So they're going to be in lockstep even more with the CDC and WHO. And so I was thinking about this, between the pharmaceutical industry and the government, the lobbying that goes on there. Who's really running the show? Because who owns the media is really running the show. Now, everybody's going away from mainstream media. The ratings reflect that. And when it says brought to you by Pfizer, it's no wonder why. But they're also bought out, are totally in cahoots with Google, who controls our information. Google owns YouTube. And that's the biggest platform for information that gets between us. You and I just texted you a couple of days ago. I wanted to send someone a link. You're talking about talk to your neighbor about things, about awareness. Well, how
Mm-hmm,
about the
mm-hmm.
movie The Great Awareness that we just talked about
The
a
Great
couple of weeks?
Awakening.
YouTube censored that. They took it
Yeah,
down. Now
I'm
and they never
surprised.
tell you why. They started censoring for the first time Jordan Peterson's YouTube videos. And I listen to his podcast, but it's also broadcast on YouTube. And boy, when he gets on there, he just lays into them. And he's like, surely we're going to be deplatformed fairly soon. And the things that he talks about are a lot of times about the problems that are going on with the castration of children because they think they're trans and things like that. Those kind of really heinous problems. He's getting,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
YouTube is polling his videos because of this. And so he's like, certainly I'm going to be deplatformed soon. And he's one of those platforms like Rogan that got so big so quickly some years ago. They call it escape velocity, where they seem to be uncensorable, uncensorable.
Mm-hmm.
And yet this is how bad it's gotten. Google, and I'm sure we're going to get deplatformed like today, because I would assume Google needs taken out totally, man. I mean, the free world depends on it, because I don't know what to call this except fascist. I know that these lefts that are trying to dominate, and I don't even know if they're just left, but this faction that is trying to that has dominated the media, that has taken control of the media. They control so much. They control the elections. So I don't know what else to say about that. It's really serious though.
Give
And
me a chance to share the screen because I want to show something
oh,
here to
okay,
your point, Barry.
cool.
Um, let's see here if
You're
we can
good.
make this happen. Okay, cool. Okay, there it is. I love the fact that Yahoo Finance gives us the ability to see who owns these companies and what they're
Oh,
really made out of. Now, Google, you brought up, is actually Alphabet. That's the parent company.
I did know
And
that.
what I've done is I've gone over to Google Yahoo Finance, and I'm going over to the you got all these different sections, but I like to go to the holder section to see who owns the stock
Interesting.
on these companies.
Hmm.
And these are the major holders. Is that
BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street.
2.02% are held by insiders. 62% is owned by shares are owned and held by other
Hmm.
institutions, not just people like me and you. So
Hmm.
that's the majority. In politics, you would call that a super majority.
Hmm.
And these are the usual suspects:
Yep.
Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street. So
Right at the top.
when Barry talks about, these companies that are owned, they're owned all by the same people. What about Fox?
What
Okay,
about
they're
Google?
54. That was Google that we just looked
That
at,
was
which was
Yahoo.
that was Alphabet.
Alphabet.
That's Google. And
Oh,
when you take a look
oh,
at, that's their parent company. When you
right.
take a look at Fox News, okay, who's owning Fox News?
Oh,
They're
yeah.
over 50% owned by Vanguard, BlackRock.
Hmm.
They're State
State
Street
Street
again.
there. Yeah.
They're the same people every time. You can do the same thing for just about any company. I like to look at, the classic battle between Coke and Pepsi, and you can see they're owned by institutions, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, the
They
usual
are
suspects
dictating
every
information.
time.
So
But
when I say
Pepsi
Google,
couldn't possibly be owned by the
oh,
same
right.
people as Coke, right? I mean, that's not. Oh, wait, they're 75% owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, State Street.
Yeah.
When you start going through all of these, and Yahoo Finance is a
They own
great way,
everything.
they own every company. And so all the people you think are competing against each other are
Yeah.
not competing against each
They're in
other.
lockstep.
They're owned by the same company. So what they do is they make it seem like, hey, don't go over there, come over here.
Right.
And so, oh, I'm loyal to this brand, Coke. I'm never going to drink Pepsi. Well, they got a customer for life. And then they got the Pepsi customer for life too. And they think they're doing something about the other brand. It's
Mm.
pretty crazy. We boycott places. Oh, I don't want to do this. I'm not doing business with these guys because they believe this. I'm going to buy this product or go to this store. Oh, they're owned by the same people. We talked about this last time, right?
Yeah, yeah, but it's a good point. I want to say too about like, so who told Google, meaning YouTube, to censor something like The Great Awakening, which we talked a lot about, which was a fantastic documentary. Well, I will tell you this, they have the movie online. It's you could find it. I found it with a little bit of digging, but it's something like I think it's called the Great Awakening movie.com. I may be one or two, Great Awakening movie.com or the Great Awakening. But they have, and I didn't know this. Did you know this, Merle? There's like, it's a 3-parter that the Great
Oh, no, I did
Awakening
not
was
know
the
that.
third part. And
Oh,
yeah, there's a word associated to it at the beginning. But so, anyways, can't take it down if you have it on your private website. Well, they will soon enough. They'll
they'll
find a
figure
way to
out a
do that.
way. Yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, you
Hmm.
look at this worldwide notion by political leaders to shut down our ability to communicate over
Yep.
the internet.
Yep.
And recently we saw in France where there were all these riots and unrest happening because of the actions that he was taking.
Hmm.
What I saw him do was he blamed all of the trouble on the fact that these so-called criminals could communicate online. So I knew by the way that he was talking that he was going to shut down the ability for these people to communicate over the internet. And that's exactly the move that he's making right now. You see, these guys think they're so smart, but they're not really
They're not.
that smart.
They're not. You
They
know,
know that the biggest threat to their tyrannical rule is the ability for us to communicate with each other for us to not be divided, for us to be able to reason with each other, even though we have differences of opinion,
Mhm.
and especially what they
Debate,
don't want.
especially debate.
They do not want us to find things in common. Because if
Oh,
we
well, that's
find out
number
that we
one.
have things in common, then we'll unite.
Yeah,
And that is,
united we stand, divided we fall, and
boy,
they know
it's
that.
such a simple
Divided we
formula.
fall.
It
Yeah.
is.
And
And
what did they do? They, they found it so effective all these years, and it still is today, to call you a conspiracy theorist. And you make one wrong move, and I've certainly given Alex Jones some just due, because he went through a bad period of his life, and when Sandy Hook happened, and he
oh boy.
went off on saying that it probably didn't really happen, which is awful to the families that were suffered there. And so that has scarred him for life. But he's also the same guy that infiltrated the Bohemian Grove in the year 2000 and took video. I mean, he's
I
done a
didn't know
lot of
that.
good. Yeah, he's done a
To
lot of
explain
good.
the Bohemian Grove for the
Oh,
audience.
okay. For the youngins, the Bohemian Grove, I've listened to several really good podcasts on it. Is an organization that started around, if I within a couple years here, around 1872 or something, by some local artists in California, in a place, and they would get together in the woods called It was called the Bohemian Grove, and it was owned by these tree companies, and they ended up being able to buy a little bit of land. Well, the rich people caught on to this, that they'd be partying with, so these artists of every kind, whether it's sculptors, painters, musician, and all that, got together and formed that little party group, and they had the best parties, the artists. But it also was cool because they're the bohemians, just like the hippies of the 60s or bohemian people of today. They've always been around. And
Right.
the rich people were really jealous of that. Well, they would start to buddy up to these people and join the party. And the artist people, bohemians, were like, well, that's cool because we could have a bigger party now with all this money. Eventually, the rich people took over and bought up a crap load more land. They have something like 2,000 acres out there that they bought up. Now they have all these secret parties for the very rich and powerful, mostly the politically rich and powerful.
Right.
And where was I going with that? Oh, so
Well,
I was talking about Alex Jones and
yes.
the
And he exposed
conspiracy.
this whole thing.
Yeah. So when
Yeah.
you can slap conspiracy theorists in all the crap that's been going on with UFOs or not, all these years, you call them conspiracy theorists, and now you don't want to feel stupid, so you don't want to go there. You say you don't believe in it, and now you're doing their bidding.
Yeah,
The other thing is, of late, since COVID, they've come up with the misinformation nomer.
Yes,
And
it's so similar to conspiracy
it's the
theorists, right?
same. And so
Yeah.
now with YouTube, they're putting all this censorship under the guise of public health. Because if people put out misinformation and we have another pandemic, which they're trying so hard to fan the flames of, you can't have people putting out misinformation and not getting vaccinated. It puts the rest of us at risk. And well, that's been exposed, but there's so many they control the media though, even all the way through Google.
So here's the question, Barry. I love where you're going with this, and I love how you're thinking about it too. Just you're taking it to the second level, third level thought on this. So you know that they're going to roll out some other kind of, they, like you said, they've been trying to roll out another. Oh, we've got Omicron. They come up with these names,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I thought that was the most,
Death Star, yeah,
dastardly.
Death
Comes to
Star-itis.
Omicron, yeah, right.
Yeah.
Well, but they're going to do something to try to get everybody more of these vaccinations, of course, and it's going to be. I think they've been practicing, but there's a big one that's probably going to be coming.
Oh yeah.
The question is, do you think after they have already been exposed that we're all just going to jump on that? Do you think it's going to be different this time? What do you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah, go ahead.
The only reason why is our saving grace, our podcasts like Joe Rogan's, Jordan Peterson's, Crystal and Sagar, who don't need YouTube to last. If you can get them on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, millions of people listen to these, and they're not censored. And that's the last bastion as far as I can see. I mean, you got places like, but they get labeled right wing right away, like not the Daily Mail, so much as is it Daily Caller? There's a couple. Peterson's on one of those daily something.
Yeah, I can't remember which one. I
There's
get confused
a
on that.
couple. You gotta
But
really
it's
search for
funny,
it.
Barry, like you said, they get labeled right wing extremists, and Joe Rogan got labeled that.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, it's like all they
He's
got to do is just say that about you. The guy's been a
yep.
Democrat, he's voted Democrat. I mean, all they
He's
did,
never voted Republican.
yeah. So, but he, look at Bill Maher. Like Bill Maher and I don't really see eye to eye on very
Don't
many
really
things
like
at
him.
all. Yeah, he's kind of a slimy
Arrogant.
kind of guy. Yeah,
He's
but
arrogant.
listen to what he's saying right now
He says a
about
lot
what's
of
going
stuff.
on.
Yeah.
Use your brain. Can you see what's happening right now? Even he can see what's happening. So I think I agree with you that if they try to do this again, they're going to have to do it in a way that's way more tyrannical. They're going to have to do it by force, I think, because at this point, the cat's out of the bag. They didn't mean for that to happen. And now we know that, and I think more and more people are concerned about this medical tyranny that's happened, so that people don't trust their doctors. People don't go to the doctor like they used to. They sure as heck don't want to receive any kind of shot. So the damage that's been done to the credibility of the medical trust, I don't think is repairable anytime soon.
I think that they're so arrogant and not so smart, as you said, that I think they could force a revolution and bring themselves down. Like if you could imagine that they start pushing this next effort, like they did with COVID, and you imagine smaller podcasts talking about it and they're getting censored, but it leads up to the bigger podcasts like Rogan and Friends and all of that, and who are all starting to say the same messaging. Look, we need to unite and we need to battle this. We need to get rid of these big hedge fund companies. We have monopoly laws for a reason. Now, I know they probably own every biggest lawyer in the country,
in the world.
And so they get around the monopoly laws through that and lobbying, because they infiltrated all of the government, all of the media, and the media will be on their side and report how illegal it is, what we're trying to do. But it'll have to be so bad that we all become aware of how the real misinformation out there. On major media channels.
It's really interesting what you're talking about, Barry, and we're talking about these major corporations that have infiltrated our government, but we've actually seen it go both ways. It's a symbiotic relationship, right? Where they're infiltrating our government and our government is also infiltrating them. Take the Twitter files, for example, how Twitter came in, or how our CIA and FBI came in and basically sat in the offices of Twitter as if they worked there. They basically were running Twitter, which means they're probably running Google and Facebook.
They are.
Does Zuckerberg actually own Facebook, or does the government own Facebook? I'm going with the government, actually.
I've heard Zuckerberg on a few podcasts, and I was kind of trashing him when we were talking about Maui, because I think anytime these people get so greedy and take other people's land the way that they so brazenly do, it really rubs me the wrong way. But if you listen to him on some of these podcasts, like he had a really good one on Lex Friedman's podcast, and I like Lex a lot because he comes from a place of love at all times, and he's always trying to heal the world. And Zuckerberg was extremely forthcoming about the pressure that the government did put on him and how hard it is to actually try to make the decisions of where he's sitting on how to best navigate through that time of COVID, when they're telling you that Russia is putting, oh, what was it? No, it was Hunter Biden stuff. When he was saying,
It was the Post that they actually got ahead of the story of the Post, saying
yes,
that Russian disinformation was going to come out
yes,
on Hunter Biden, and do not publish. You got to get rid of
mhm,
this is an attack on the country. So that when the Post actually came up with the article, Zuckerberg is saying that he thought that this is exactly what the FBI was telling him about, and he needed to double down and
yeah,
censor this stuff.
yeah,
Now, whether that's true or not, because I
yeah.
don't trust that guy at all, I don't know, but it's a pretty good story. Because if I were
Yeah.
sitting in his shoes and they pulled that trick on me, it'd probably work. I mean,
But
think about
that's
that.
what I'm trying to say, is put yourself in his shoes.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
you know, you got your own committee around you that's listening to this. You want to do the right thing. And man, when it comes to the censorship stuff, I'm going to tell you that we're being so manipulated by it, because look, it's this simple. If you say there's bad information out there, misinformation, however you want to label it, the best way to combat that is with better information. And there is also a movement in this country to bring down debating. And I'm not a skilled debater. That's a skill in and of itself. But I'll tell you what, it's about the most important thing that you got if you want to be free. Because anytime that you start censoring stuff, labeling something that, oh, people shouldn't hear this, then the people that you're going to hurt most are the ones that are truly oppressed. Because people that have been oppressed in the past, whether it's a racial group, a minority group of some kind, or a sex such as women, if they don't have free speech, is their only avenue to open up people's eyes and ears. So that bothers me a bit. But you know what, buddy? I wanted to back up a little bit. We just got woo, we're 100 miles an hour right into all this,
Well,
and we could
well,
come back.
you said some really great stuff there, and I think we could talk about that forever,
Oh
actually.
yeah.
But I wanted to add one thing before we
Mhm.
transition, and that's this: is that I agree with you about the debate thing, and I think that's really brings it back to the art of reason, which
There
this
you go.
show is all about. And because you and I don't always see things eye to eye,
Oh
and the
no.
beautiful thing is that we reason with each other and we listen to each other. These are two big things. You got, in order to reason, you got to listen, and you have to actually absorb what the other person is saying to you and think about it, and then take that information and factor that in. And a
Mhm.
lot of times my mind will change
Same.
based on that. But this is the art. But here's what I see is, in the face of reason, what the opponent does is guffaw you and
Hmm.
just I'll go after your character.
Oh, make it
And
emotional.
especially if you, the debater, the reasoner, becomes emotional. And that's my
Yes.
point, is that we, with the debate, with what we believe is the truth, we have to remain calm even in the face of personal attacks,
Yeah.
because especially if other people are listening.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're a bystander and you're listening to a debate and one person has the truth, that person, if they are in a calm demeanor, because the truth speaks for themselves, you don't have to get excited about it. The person that remains calm is usually the
Wins.
person that's the believable person.
That's
So
very true.
remain calm.
You
And
said that
just,
about somebody, and it may have recently in a private conversation we had, it may have been RFK Jr. Was it? Do you
he
recall?
I can't remember
Certainly
who it
Jordan
was, but
Peterson. That's
I'm
his big skill.
I'm always so impressed with people that can just remain calm in the pressure situation. I mean, as a Christian, that's what Jesus did all the time. He was super cool. His
Mhm.
responses were calculated. He always had a response. You never see where he's flustered whatsoever. He's just cool.
Yeah.
And he is the truth personified. And
Gandhi's kind
so
of almost become an adjective in that regard.
that's exactly right, because when we bring the truth, we don't have to become emotional. In fact, the truth and emotions are almost antithetical to each other. It's just we can be emotional with it, but in a positive way, not a negative way. Our anger works against us when we try to reason.
There,
We've
you just
got
put
to
a cap on that.
we really have to keep that in mind. Tamp down on the anger. Don't take
Defensiveness.
we take a lot of things so personally too.
Defensive.
We have to take the personal part out of it,
Yeah.
and realize that what we're doing by doing this is administering medicine, and we're healing relationships. But
And
it's a
support.
calm thing. Yes.
United we stand, divided we fall. That's really important. You kind of leading me to something I wanted to talk about more at the upfront part. Stress. We talked about stress a lot in our last podcast, and I was talking about Andrew Huberman's podcast where he was talking about if you can see stress as actually an indicator that you're learning, that you're overcoming something, and you could see it in a good way, that it becomes more productive for you. And if you see it in a bad way, it can actually be unmotivating. What's the overwhelming? You could hit overwhelm. It could be really a very bad thing. This is just a quick thing. We've had a lot of stress over here because work's been heightened. Lisa's been really under the gun on some things, and we had her mom come in for a week, and Lisa had to handle on top of everything else, all the details of all of her plans and everything. But it turned out to be an incredible week. We had all kinds of family over here, did a big brunch, a lot of cooking, and it was so fun. But she gets really stressed about it. On top of that, I think the following night, she's down there, it's evening, and I'm upstairs here on my computer, and I hear this shriek and banging around. I'm like, oh my God. I run down there, and in the cupboard, apparently a mouse got in. Somehow, first of all, how they got in the cupboard, I don't know. In this house, you will never find a crumb anywhere. So, but he found my creatine, which was in a foil like bag, like that thick foil kind of bag, ate into this and ate a bunch of my creatine, which is a supplement a lot of bodybuilders use. I discovered it because it really has healed my shoulder, which has been real. So she's totally freaked. I set a trap. I catch a mouse that night. I'm like, wow, okay, got him. Reset the trap, got another one the next day. I'm like, oh no. I think the same day I reset it. And I'm sorry, this is always happening between night and morning. They're very nocturnal.
Right. Because that's when they come out. Right.
Yeah, not in the middle of the day. But again, I'll say I don't know how they're getting in that upper cabinet. The doors
they're so imaginative, and they can fit through
small
little holes.
Gap.
It's amazing what these mice can do.
There's no holes. I looked. There's no vents.
They're magic mice.
It's their magic. Well, and the one that ate all the creatine, I think, is Mighty Mouse now.
He's got to be like this monster now. He's going to come and get you guys.
So the third time it went off, no mouse to be found. Like, I think that was Mighty Mouse. They just went down on him, and he just lifted it back off of him and threw it. So I went out to Home Depot, and I got yet another kind of mouse trap where it baits them in this room, this little box.
Room.
It says it fits up to 4 mice. That's what it says.
How horrible.
Well, I just set that last night, and I got our third mouse, but in the traditional trap. I have them side by side. So I know at about 3, and I want to say, if you see signs of a mouse, by the time you realize you have a mouse, this is how the saying goes, you have mice.
Yeah. There's no mouse. There's mice. Right.
So I don't know. I've had a house over a rental house for over 20 years. I've been through this many times. I've never gotten more than 3 at a time. So, but I still kind of think Mighty Mouse might be the last man standing. So we'll see.
I mean, now that he had all that creatine, I don't know what you're going to do.
So anyways, my point is the stress has been, pretty high around here. Not in a bad, stress can be debilitating. And so I wanted to
It can
share
be.
this quick article with Lisa. Vitamin C may help relieve stress. Yoga, deep breathing, brisk walks, meditation. We all know that that's good for stress relief, and we need to keep up with it. And consider adding some extra vitamin C to the mix. The vitamin is known for keeping your immune system functioning well. That's great. And protecting your body from cellular damage. Can also help you manage stress when the going gets tough. When you're stressed, your adrenal glands pump out the stress hormone known as cortisol. And when you're in that red alert fight or flight mode, that's a great time. That's what cortisol's for. But in times of excess stress, excess cortisol remains along with you and can seriously damage your health. So since vitamin C can help regulate cortisol, maybe getting extra vitamin C can help you in times of stress. Taking extra C has been shown to reduce cortisol level in animals, and in a study on women, a slow release vitamin C supplement reduced physical and mental symptoms of stress. The Cleveland Clinic's favorite sources aren't in the supplement aisle, however, they're in the produce aisle. Be sure to have plenty of fresh fruits and vegetables, raw or lightly cooked, in your diet. Kiwi, papaya, citrus fruits, pineapple, berries, bell peppers, tomatoes, broccoli, and leafy greens are all the fantastic sources. Final statement. Keep in mind that in general, the fresher the foods are, the more C that they will contain. So I think that's an important thing to know as stress, gets to us.
That is really awesome about vitamin C. I feel like it's my favorite vitamin because it always tastes like if you take
you like the chewables.
Oh, I love those.
Those are so good. You get a DNC.
Okay. So I was on that, the Optavia thing, and you can't have any sugar, but Anne-Marie would get those vitamin C things, and sometimes at night I would have such a craving for one of those vitamin C chewies, and she'd be like, "How come the vitamin C is disappearing so fast?"
Yeah, you sick?
I like it so much, and I'm so immune now. No stress either. I mean, I agree. It is some good stuff. As soon as I found out that it like can really help your immune system, I mean, during COVID, Anne-Marie really stocked up on vitamin C and also D, and we really went crazy with that, and I really like it actually.
And that's, I don't want to go head into all that other stuff we were just into again, but that's the thing about the media during COVID would never tell you that dropping some weight and increasing vitamin C and D would almost make you immune.
Yeah. Or it just, get out in the sun. They wanted us to stay inside.
Oh, God.
And it's like, okay, so, they obviously knew what was good for us and then told us all the things just the opposite. So,
exactly.
I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Right. Yeah. I mean, trust your pharmaceutical companies to save our lives.
They've
never so much as been sued for $10 billion before.
No.
I want to ask you a sales question, Merle. I had something happen the other day. I went to one of those chamber of commerce meetings, networking, and I forced myself, and it's a good thing to do. Never regret it. Always meet some good connections and had some good food. Watched a couple boring presentations and sat next to someone who is a health insurance saleswoman person. And people go around the table, ask, "Hey, what do you do?" And I'm like, lead generation, increase people's brands and things like that. And she's like, "Wow, I want to talk to you more about that. That's very interesting." And it's like, we switch cards and everything. It's what you do at these events. And I immediately get the email back here, and let's do a one-on-one and all of that. And Merle, I immediately felt like, this is a total bait and switch. And it really got under my skin. So I replied with, well, I'm really busy the next couple of days. I could do a phone call or a Zoom, but if you wanted to do a real one-on-one, I need like a week or two. Give me the wiggle room to get out of that. Oh, I got immediate reply. Let's set up something for tomorrow. And I blew it off. I did not respond. And I want to ask you, I respect
very
you
aggressive.
as the best salesperson that I've known. And not only yourself, but you've led teams, you've trained teams, and the way you've done it, we've talked about it before, is really through a very honest approach. What do you think of this method? I totally call it a bait and switch. And what is your opinion based on what I told you?
Well, I mean, let's rewind a little bit. Going back to the beginning, this person, what business were they in again?
Health insurance.
Okay, so
For
really,
small
she wants to
businesses.
sell you health insurance.
Sure
Is really
seems like
what
it to me. I
was.
can't prove that, but
Yeah, yeah.
everything in my being says so.
But it was really more the start. It was like you want to share leads kind of
No,
thing.
she's telling me that, oh, I think I could use your help. I want to know more about what you do.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. I hate it.
Mm.
Hate
It's
that
very
approach.
manipulative.
Yeah, it is. It's what gives sales people a bad name in the first place. You know, we're sneaky.
Mhm.
We're not honest. We'll do anything to make money. We're
Yeah.
deceptive. I hate that because as a lifelong salesperson, it gives me a bad name walking in the door, because everybody's going to think that, you know, that's what's going to happen. You know, when you say sales, people become defensive. It's almost like Dracula came in the room. They're all like,
Buddy, I say worse. You say insurance sales people. I
right.
think that's the thing that people go, oh my God, I got to get out of here. They're going to crawl up my butt with a bunch of personal questions and then turn it on me. And, you know,
It's
and
like that scene in Groundhog Day where Bill Murray sees that guy from high school, and
Phil,
he's a life insurance salesman.
yeah.
How about a term life insurance policy? And he won't take no
At the
for an
one point, he
answer.
punches him in the
Yeah.
face as he
And he
comes
said
up.
the guy's like always positive. He's like, "Ooh, got me that time. I'll get you back." You know,
There you
it's like,
go.
this is not how I train my team whatsoever.
Right.
Here's one thing I know, Barry, and it's very simple. Uh, People will buy from people that they like.
Mhm.
People
And
will
trust.
buy from people that they trust.
Mhm.
It's as simple as that. So if you come in and you're acting like a snake oil salesman,
Yeah.
you're not going to get any like, and you're not going to get any trust. I just, being yourself is actually the secret sauce. Whatever God gave you as a personality, that's what you walk in the door with. That's your secret.
Mm.
You know, I got a cold call this week from a woman that called me, and she says, hi Merle, how you doing today? It kind of sounded like she knew me.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, and she said, my name's Katie. And I said, hey, Katie, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing pretty good today. And, you know, I was just, the way that she spoke to me was as if we were just standing in the street, and she walked up and like, hey, how you doing? And we just started talking. I immediately liked her. She told me, she sent me an email, and did I have a chance to read it? It was the tone in her voice more than what she was saying. It was like she had a tone like, friendly. It sounded like she expected me to be friendly back, and the way that she was talking to me. And she had a product that, I mean, it was really for our company. And I gave her some information on, well, that's not me, but here's who you could talk to, just because I liked her right away. And I think that's really the secret, not coming in all razzle dazzle and everything like that, but just be yourself. And this whole trying to trick people into, I'm interested in your product. Well, that's actually kind of hurtful right there.
Yeah.
And people, that actually drives people away from events like the event that you went to, and they never come back because you got piranhas over there that they don't care about you. Look, the real secret is to be a very competent consultant. You're always looking for a win-win. You always walk away from a win-lose, whether it's your customer loses or you lose. You walk from that because you have integrity. And that's the best tool that you have walking in the door, is your integrity. And when you have integrity, you can talk to somebody with a calm demeanor, like you know them, because you're not coming in there to try to trick them or anything. You know what you're doing, and you're coming in to help somebody.
Yeah.
That's really it. Now, does that work every time? No, because not everybody needs what you have. But
and you got to really trust and love what you're selling.
You know, I had a situation this week, Barry, where I was traveling this week, and I was in Southern California, and I was with a customer, and I realized that they're not actually utilizing our product to the best of its ability, and they're really cutting their foot off to really, they're hurting themselves by doing this. So I thought, I've got to go to the chief information officer and talk to him about this. So I was going over, I've never met him before, but I just came over to his office, and my whole attitude was, I don't know this guy, but if I were in his shoes, I would want to know that this was happening, so that when I went in to talk to him, and I did get a chance to talk to him, I had a calm demeanor. It wasn't me all nervous, like, oh, can I talk to this guy? It was like, no, I have some information that can help you to not fail in your job. And in a hospital, if you fail in your job, people can die. So it's just important. So I just say that, when in sales, you want to think about the other person, and you want to think about what their needs are, and you want to think about the golden rule. If you were in that person's shoes, what would you like to have done? And just act in that manner. And if they get upset about it, then you don't have anything to feel bad about, because really what you're doing is based on love. And you can even, and when the person has a negative response because you cold called them, you won't get all defensive, because in your heart that no, I'm really trying to bless you. I'm trying to help you. And now one thing you have to realize in sales is people that don't want help can't be helped.
That's really true. I have something of a similar situation going on with a current client, a new client who was referred to me for some online presence, of course. And so I redesigned the site. I told a really nice guy too, and it's in a really good industry where they have a high return on the investment. They sell some rather large machinery to very big companies. So when he makes a sale, it's a big valuation.
Right.
So for me, being a lead generating kind of guy, that's what I do. I sell creating a brand that creates more clients out of prospects. You get more prospects and convert more into customers. And well, I could see why he was not selling very much with his websites. That's always the case. Everybody thinks you build a cheap website and you're going to get all these sales. And there's a lot of factors that go into it. There's a lot of competition out there. So I explained to him, we had dinner together and had a great time. He's a great guy. And I told you before that these days I treat everybody the same: friends, family, clients. And so when a client comes on board, I love you, and we're working together. It's me and you together. Okay. And so when I say how I build a lead generating website and I can see why yours is currently not converting, I explain why, and it'll make perfect sense to a person if they can sit through it. And so anyways, I've redesigned the websites, and it's been pulling teeth to get the information that I need to make it a true lead generating website. I have to get it in Google's good graces, and I had to create these trust factors and different things. But my point is, he's already paid me everything, but I'm telling him, look, I could take the money and run. No way, man. He trusts me. He truly trusts me for good reason. I'm like, I need this stuff, this information. I know it's a bit of work to get it together, but it will convert. And there's a lot on the line. Would you like to see a 300% increase in conversions? Because it will do that. So it's going that extra mile. And I want him to give me referrals. I want him to give me a 5-star Google review so I could do this with other like people. So that's
and everything that you're doing, as you're building that trust, as you're not giving up, as you're being tenacious in there, these are referenceable points right here that, and we know this, especially today, more than any other time in my sales career, it's referrals that are your key to the business. People are not taking cold calls. What's so frustrating now, as a salesperson, is nobody works in their office anymore. And everybody's remote, and the thing about being remote is that people have decided that answering their phone when they're at home is not the thing they do anymore.
Right.
And it's so much harder to get people
Oh
on
yeah.
the phone and set appointments. And especially if you're brand new, you're in voicemail hell.
Yes.
You're going to their voicemail at their desk in the office that's 20 miles away from where they are, and they can just screen. They've got 1,000 ways to screen you now.
Yes.
Really, it's doing what you're doing, is building trust, having with the people that are in front of you. Do your very best to do your job and uncover all the, or turn over every stone, and be tenacious, and then ask for refer. Who do you know that I can help? That's really the best
Additionally,
way to go.
to capitalize on what you just said, I kind of forgot about this. Additionally, the guy that referred me is an IT guy. I don't know him that well. We're just, kind of colleagues,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a nice guy. He referred me based on my reputation and stuff. I emailed him just like yesterday and said, "Hey man, what's your contact information? I owe you 20% finder's fee for this." And he was like, "Oh my God, you're the best," and here you
Wow,
go.
that's cool, man.
He's going to refer me again. I
Oh,
mean,
of
I've
course he is.
I've kind of had some of these
Who wouldn't?
realizations of late,
Yes, yes.
especially about the 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 dedication I have to referrals. That has to be number one, and you just explained why very well. So I'm doing everything I can to get referrals and to do a very good job of doing my job as best as I can, so that I live up to all of these things and deserve the referral.
One thing that we're doing, I love what you're saying, Barry. One thing we're doing at Spoke is that we've got a software division and we've got a wireless division, and I'm in the software division. But what I'm doing is I'm teaming up with the guy in the wireless division, because he knows people that I don't know, and I know people that he doesn't know. So this trip that I went on this past week, he and I collaborated together, and we went into all these different appointments together. And between us, we were able to generate a bunch of interest and new opportunities that we
Sure.
never could have done on our own. And here's the other cool
That
thing,
makes
is that
perfect sense.
being in these meetings, we ended up meeting with a couple of chief information officers in these huge hospitals, and that we didn't even have appointments with, and
Mhm.
we were able to generate that based on who I know and who he knew, and bringing those people together, and then bubbling up other opportunities. And this was all in a 2-day period. It was so exciting. The other thing too is, when you're in these meetings with these people, if you have somebody that's competent, you can kind of kick things back and forth. And while the other person is talking to your prospect, you can be in listen mode and really understand. You're not so focused on everything that you're saying and doing, and you can observe more. And then after the meetings are over, you and your colleague can compare notes, and you're always going to get more out of those
Mm,
situations, and understanding when you're collaborating with somebody. And you have to make sure it's somebody that's very competent,
mm,
as you are.
mm.
And so and I had that situation with my colleague, that it was just like a home run. It was so exciting. I came away, I remember flying out of there. I flew out of the Ontario airport. I was sky high. I didn't even need a plane. I felt so good by what we'd been able to accomplish,
I
and
like
that's
what you
really, these are keys as well.
I that's the kind of thing I think that you should be at a leadership breakdown meeting with your company, like you do those retreats or something, and you
Hmm.
literally should give a talk on that experience, because as you're unfolding it, it's like, wow, I mean, I could see you writing a book on this. I mean, it's really important to break down the walls and to put your knowledge together and your contact list together, and yeah, see what you can do. It's kind of like
You,
what I'm doing with this external guy, IT guy.
and the other thing too, Barry, is just, treat like you said it best earlier, is that if you're the client, I love you. I mean, and love is self-sacrificing love. Not
Yes.
that you're gonna lose. That's not what I'm saying. But I mean, you put the sweat equity into your relationship with
Yeah.
that customer. And when you treat people the way that you would like to be treated,
Mhm.
it's actually a pleasure to work. Like every time you interface with these people, they feel that they respond in kind, and it becomes a when it's a labor of love, it's not work anymore.
Correct.
It's something that it drives you from here instead of here. And
Correct.
I gotta say, Barry, the business that I'm creating with Spoke right now is that. I love my clients, and I'm having so much fun
Uh,
talking to them every
yeah.
time I interface with them, go out to lunch with one of them, or get to hang out, or just be at their office or whatever. I have that same attitude, is that, hey, you might not love me yet, but you're gonna,
Yeah. Yeah.
because
You know, it's
I'm looking at you like family, and we don't leave family behind.
yeah.
We bless our families, and
You know,
so that's what I want to be for everyone I come across. Go ahead, Barry.
quick story like along those lines is last week I was doing this. Lisa's on this sales class that she's taking for work, and she's like, I'm going to share some of this information and you so that you can do the same stuff that I'm doing, and it's all using LinkedIn to its highest point. And I
Oh, wow,
understand it.
cool.
I can't tell you how much I hate doing that. I mean, can't. So my client, one of my clients has become one of my best friends. I talk about him all the time.
That's
The electrical
awesome.
safety guy, Brian. I see his name come up on the phone, and I'm like, Brian, how you doing?
Don't you love that?
Yeah, we both talk about doing sales strategies, the same stuff. And I said, I'm doing this LinkedIn stuff right now. I saw your name come up, and I was like, I would way rather talk to Brian than do this.
That's funny. I
Yeah,
have the same thing. There's a guy that I work with, and if I see him email me about something, I'm like, this is a great excuse to call Ted. Just call him up. Hey, what's happening? We laugh on the phone. I mean,
right,
we get stuff done, but it's like, I
right.
really like you, and I feel that reciprocated too, and it just makes doing the work so much more pleasurable.
Right.
Not to mention, being in healthcare, it's like people's lives. I mean, I get to be a part of helping the healing process, even though it's technology.
I got another client that's a lawyer, and I just helped him launch his solo thing, and he's going gangbusters. He's so appreciative, and he's so nice. He's a young guy. He's about 30,
Hmm.
very mature, very together though. And I don't mean together though, like you wouldn't be just because you're 30 or something.
Well,
But he's a
young
good
though. Yeah.
friend, and a lot of respect, and we have fun even on a phone call. And yesterday I needed some stuff, some content for the website to complete some things, to button it up. And so I finally got him on the phone. He's been super busy. And man, we can knock things out. I could just get him talking because he knows his stuff so well, but he doesn't know how to give it to me. So I just started, well, what do you do in this situation with the estate probate stuff? And he's like, oh my God. He goes, the worst is when this happens. He starts talking. I'm like, this is gold. This is just gold. And in a half hour, I have all this really important content that I just clean up and put on the website. But that's when you got a good chemistry with your clients and they're your friends, man, it just flows and it's fun. Why not have fun when you're doing
Right.
your work? Right.
Right, exactly. And people are going to refer you to people if they like you, and
For
because they
sure.
feel good about it, right? Like, you're
Yeah. And
not
you
going to,
get
if your
results.
friend needs help, you're not going to refer some guy to him that doesn't know what he's doing.
Right.
You really want to, hey, I got a guy,
Yeah.
and when you have that person, you can't wait to tell somebody about that.
Or even if you know somebody that's really good at it and they produce the results, but you really didn't feel comfortable around them, you're not going to refer them. Like it,
No.
yeah, they
Yep.
just, yeah.
That,
No,
that's
yeah.
that's what's so cool. I was at a trade show. I probably already told you this, but it was in Pasadena, and I had a colleague with me, and it was a really cool event where people had signed up to come and talk to us, and we had a half an hour with each one of these potential clients. And what we use, my colleague Chase and I, we could have used the half an hour to just start drilling them on questions and, here, what do you got, what are you doing? But instead what we did was we used the first third of the meeting to just chit chat. Hey, how you doing? Some
Yeah.
people brought their dogs, some people brought their wives, some people were having all these
Nice.
different experiences. And so that's what everybody wants to talk about themselves and
Uh-huh.
how they got there and their life experience. So we talked about those things for the first 10 minutes. And I'm sure it was very different from all the other meetings that they had. But
That
we were establishing an interpersonal relationship first, and then it made it so much easier to talk about business for the next 20 minutes,
mm,
because it was like we were friends, and it made it so much easier to do the follow-ups as well afterwards, because it was more like, hey, that conversation we had about how you were spying on your husband
yeah,
while he was trying
yeah,
to learn how to dance, that was hilarious. And that kind of stuff
yeah.
goes a long way.
Yeah, and that's proof once again that you're really listening, that you are present, and people love
Right.
to know that they've been heard.
That's I know I do.
Yeah. Hey, let's just talk about some just some random stuff. I pulled down here. First of all, this one, uh Randy Meisner died of the
I
Eagles, the guy that wrote and sang
Oh,
Take It to the Limit.
I did not hear that.
One of my all-time favorite songs. I think it's
Wow.
almost everyone's. It's in the top 10 for sure of a
Yeah,
lot of
I
people.
love the song too.
Do
I did
you
not
know
know that.
a bit of trivia that he left the Eagles because of the pressure he felt of having to hit those notes at the end of Take It to the Limit every night?
What? I
And
can't.
Joe Walsh is the one that in this documentary explained this. And he's like, but he did it every time. And,
Mm,
every time we rehearsed, he did it, but he was so worked up about that and he didn't want to fail.
mm,
And
wow.
I've seen YouTube videos where he skirted around some of those high notes, but I've also seen ones where nailed them. I mean, that song is something else, from just the music behind the song to the lyrics to the harmonies that accompany. It's a beautiful, perfect song. That's one that divinely inspired, in my opinion.
It's funny you're bringing this up because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he said, "Hey, I got a question for you. If you could have any gift in the world, what would it be? Like a physical gift?" And I said, "I would like to be able to sing like the best singers, because when, like you just said, being able to hit those high notes and everything, I can sing a little, but not like I'm not a singer.
If
But
Yeah,
some of these people have the ability to just make you cry. They sing so
yes,
well,
yes,
and I mean, what a gift that
it
is. And
is.
I'm sorry for the loss here, but we all got to
We're at
go
that age.
sometime. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Another one that just left us this week was Peter Frampton.
I didn't know that.
Peter
How,
Frampton was it was like 83 or 84 years old, which
I,
was completely shocking. Like imagining Peter
yeah,
Frampton is 80 something. What?
right. Well,
Like,
Randy Meisner was about 75. That's
well,
also
and
like,
that's the thing, is like these old rock and roll guys that you and I know as these are the kids, the rebels are
yeah,
all
yeah,
geriatrics now,
yeah, yeah.
But here's a story I remember, growing up, I had an afro with very loose curls, and I hated my hair, and because it wasn't like anybody else's hair.
Not
And
where you
and
grew up in Hudson,
yeah,
Ohio.
and you don't want to be different when you're a
Right.
kid, but I was
No.
way different. And I was telling my mom, and I think I was probably like 8 or 9 years old at the time, and I said, I hate my hair, I think it looks so dumb. And she goes, no, I think your hair looks cool. And she said, and she picked up a magazine and she said, see, this guy's cool right here, and he has hair like you. And it was a picture of Peter Frampton from Peter Frampton Comes Alive, and he had
Oh,
those cool sunglasses on and
yeah,
everything. And I was
yeah.
like, yeah, I guess my hair is cool. And it
What a
wasn't
good
long.
move by your mom.
I mean, yeah, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
And it wasn't long. I remember when I got into junior high a few years later, everybody, all the kids in my school wanted to have hair like mine. and
Of
they all went
course.
and got perms and stuff. You remember that when kids were doing that?
I do remember that. That was high school, like junior
Yep.
high to high school.
Junior
Yeah.
high to high school,
Yeah.
right? And they all were getting hair like
Yeah.
mine. And I remember my mom was like, "You see that? I told you."
That's great. Yeah, that was the rock and roll hairdo, man.
Yeah, yep, it really was. But
Yeah.
yeah, Peter Frampton, rest in peace.
Okay, how about, I don't know if you know anything about this, but Britney Spears just her
Got
husband
divorced.
filed for a divorce after 14 months. And
Another one.
dude, she really seems like she's totally losing her mind. And I would think that
Okay.
there's a complete nervous breakdown coming on.
Yeah, I feel bad for Brittany. I've seen a
I do
couple of
too.
videos that she's put out on, I think, TikTok, and you can see in her eye, it's really in her eyes.
Oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's she's not right.
Drugs
And
are going on for sure.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe
There's
it's pure
definitely a
mental.
mental health issue here, and that
Sure.
conservatorship that she was under.
Yeah.
I remember when she was trying to get out from underneath of that, I thought, God, that's just awful. Why do they have this girl in a prison? And now I
Yeah.
know why. Is that
Right.
it was to protect her. And now she has gone buck wild. I mean,
Mhm.
really, when you watch this, it's a shame. She's a beautiful woman, but she's really lowered her whole
You know
thing
what it
down.
seems like is, first of all, anytime that people push their kids into the stardom thing, I think that there's something wrong with those parents. That
I do
there
too.
needs to be something of a movement of, Charlie, get off the couch. What?
I've never seen him get on the couch
Yeah, I
before.
know. That surprised me too. Oh, the cleaning ladies are probably here, and he's trying to look out the window. He's going crazy.
Oh.
But so child stars virtually never survive it unscathed.
No,
And
they don't.
and in her case, the whole marketing machine
Oops,
put a,
sorry.
I didn't hear anything.
Oh.
Put that marketing framework around her and sexualized her at such an early age
Yep.
that it totally, like, now that has been slipping away, and so Madonna did the same thing to herself. They're always trying to capture that lightning in a bottle, and look at Charlie. And she's gone so far. She's 41 years old now, and like she doesn't really have that talent. It was given to her and pushed upon her because she was young and pretty. And so now she's just trying to double down on the sexuality thing over and over. And there's enough people out there as bait or fans or, whatever. I don't know. Even, what do you think of, I don't know nothing about this ex-husband.
Me neither. I didn't even know she was married.
I didn't either. A couple of weeks ago, I didn't even either. But I kind of wonder if the prenup said that they had to be together at least a year.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
God only knows.
Well, and she got married in Vegas, remember, several years back, and she got married to that guy, Fetterman.
That was a long time ago. I think
yeah,
that was
and
her
they only
first
stayed.
husband.
Yeah, and she got married in Vegas at the chapel, and they got divorced within 3 days. Remember
Really?
that? Yeah, that was her first.
And so he probably got millions right there because they didn't do a prenup. They did a Vegas elope thing.
Yeah, and he was a performer too, and so that's how they knew each other. And it seemed like they got drunk and then ended up getting married, like so many people in Vegas, and then got divorced within 3 days. But
I just want to say, I think
he's had a real tough. I mean, I don't envy her position at all. Go ahead.
Oh no, I think she's going to have a total psychotic break. I really
She
do.
needs help. She needs help.
Serious help.
Yeah, and I hope she gets it. She just, I mean, but going back to what you said, I mean, just the child star thing, it's overwhelming for these people. That's not meant to be. And you can see the damage. And this whole Hollywood thing is it's just toxic for everybody. Even adults that are in it, they don't think it seems to impact your brain and just decay certain areas of common sense.
Sure. Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Well, first of all, you have to adopt the ideologies, or you're not going to get work. And so, and the more you live and breathe them, the more chance that you have. And so you got to become an advocate now. An
It's
activist. That's what I meant.
it's interesting too, because when you say ideology, Scientology comes up in my
Mhm.
mind because it's
Mhm.
such a major influence in Hollywood. If you go to Hollywood, there is a mega church that they have there, the Scientology complex. It's
Yeah.
so huge, Barry. And when you think about Hollywood, the property is the property in Hollywood is sky high.
Oh God, yeah.
This thing is mega. It takes up an entire couple of blocks there. The
Mhm.
building is really weird looking.
Yeah.
I've never seen a building like that before. It kind of reminds me of the Capitol in New York, which is
Mm.
also very weird.
Oh.
Lots of Gothic kind of architecture. It looks like Dracula might jump out any minute over there. And so, yeah, you have to, and you see how they use Scientology in the business, Hollywood, and how
Yeah.
you can get locked out of Hollywood through that, or you can have a whole bunch of doors open to you. So you can't just be yourself there. You have to play the game.
Well, and the outcome of that, the effects of that are their movies suck now
They really do. They
because they
really do.
got to be woke. They got to virtue signal constantly, and even critics have to jump on board or else they won't get any work. So they're just eating, but it's a snake eating its tail. I mean, they can't do a comedy anymore. You can't do a
No.
comedy.
Well, Sex in the City, a very popular kind of show.
Never got
And
into it, but
no, it's very, girl thing. And of
mm,
course, Anne Marie watches it sometimes. And I have to say, I've seen plenty of episodes throughout the years, and they're not bad. But now
mm,
they've come out with a new version of it, and
I've
I
heard
can't remember what it's called, and I don't even want to say what it's called because then it's not worth watching.
that's what I've heard.
Everything about it is about the woke thing.
Uh-huh.
Every little aspect about it, where and they're trying to make a joke out of it, but they're not. It's not making fun of it. It's just it, but it's all. They're elevating it, but then they have a hard time doing things. As everything
Mm,
gets screwed up in a sort of sitcom way, but it's
mm.
it's it's promoting this constantly,
I
and it's
know.
like this isn't. It's not funny. It actually takes the humor completely out of it.
That's my point, and I've heard that about that, and apparently the ratings reflect it as well.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, well, I think I think Hollywood needs to be rethought and reimagined. We're in a day and age where we could shoot movies on our phone and everything, but no matter what, there's still I'm going to go back to censorship one way or another, but there's still the trying to cancel. Everybody's trying to cancel everybody all the time, which brings me to my final note: The Blind Side, the movie. You remember that with
Oh
Sandra
yeah,
Bullock?
yeah, yeah,
Have you
yeah,
heard about the controversy on that?
yeah. And then again,
Yep.
conservatorship, is that what it's?
Conservative shit. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, whatever that's called.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
but I got to tell you, I remember at the time. Now, first of all, I'll say I love the movie.
I never saw the movie.
It was really good. Sandra Bullock was incredible in it,
Mm,
and it comes off as this really privileged, pretty white woman that saves this young black guy and lets him become his true self and his most powerful self. And I saw it at the time, and it was only like 13 years ago or something, not that long ago when it came out, but times have changed so much since then. I saw the white savior ridiculousness wrapper around it at the time. Mostly, I felt bad about how they portrayed Michael Orr, because they really portrayed him as being really dumb, and
yeah,
and this woman really saved them. And the truth of the matter is, more Orr has been on some podcasts and stuff, and has been really offended by this. He's like, "Look, first of all, they never adopted me; it was a conservatorship." And he said, but to go into the NFL. Now the movie came out, I'm already in the NFL, but he goes, I was very self-disciplined. Like from the fourth grade on, I made myself. I was the first one into the gym, the last one out. I was an all-American football player before this family took me in. And he goes, so that's been very difficult for him for teams to question whether he could read a playbook was, a bit of a problem. And
What a
so
bummer.
I totally get it from that point
Yeah.
of view but 13 years ago, I guess what I'm trying to say is 13 years ago, things were so different. People ate up that white savior thing, like, oh, see, we're not racist. We're not racist. We all want to do this together. And now this is leading back into the cancel culture thing. People are looking, whose side do I take and who do I destroy?
I
Back to
know.
divisiveness.
Yep. That's
Because I see two things here. I see a family. Now, the family came out and said, look, we loved him at 17 years old. We love him at 37 years old. We're going to love him at 67 years old. So, I mean, however the movie was portrayed was however the movie was portrayed. That's Hollywood.
that
And
is correct. Right.
yeah, right.
I mean, the fact is that I don't blame this couple in any way from everything I've heard. Now, I don't know the whole story, right?
Right. We don't.
But it sounds like they're good people and that they gave the story. And of course, Hollywood being Hollywood is going to take their artistic whatever freedoms or whatever license. Yep. And then they turn it into, they Hollywoodize it. And
yeah,
I don't blame the guy for being upset. I heard one thing that he said, and you were kind of saying it, is that when he got to know them, he knew football, but the movie made it seem like he didn't even know football. And I think that would be very insulting. And then when you're trying to get a job in the NFL and they're like, can you read the playbook? Like, that would be horrible. That would be horrible. Jeez.
To that point, probably the very best point in the movie, because it was so endearing, and Sandra Bullock was so good. I forget you didn't see it. That's too bad. But so there's like the first part, like I
gotta see it now. Yeah.
Yes, I agree. You should. It'd be fun to talk about it again, and we could do it on our own time. But there's the point. It's kind of like he's on the football field for the first time, it seems, and Sandra Bullock is the new mom of him now, and she's standing there and not liking the way it's going, and she, like, he doesn't understand what's going on, his position as the center or whatever. He was an offensive lineman, and she comes over there like in a huff, and she's hot and these tight white pants and everything, and she goes, all right, look, you see the quarterback, you pretend that's your mom, you protect that quarterback like it's your mom. She grabs I think the coach by the shirt and says, don't ever talk to him like that again, this kind of thing. It was very, very moving, and Sandra Bullock pulled it off very well, and she walks away and the whole team turns and watches her walk away,
of course, because they're football players.
It was a good movie, but I understand the issues that are at hand. I always understood the issues when I first saw it. I thought, wow, because I've seen and heard of Michael Oher for real after I saw the movie. I'm like, this guy's not stupid.
Right. I kind of remember that too.
Yeah.
Is it like, that's him? That's odd. But
yeah,
I never, like I said, I never watched the movie, but I remember hearing about it and thinking, what a great story. And it's too bad that it's come to this and people are unhappy and everything like that. But
well, I hope at the end
Hollywood.
of the day that Michael Oher and that family can 100% heal that relationship.
Yeah, me too. I think from given what the couple said about loving him when he was 17 and loving him when he's 37, I think that's the key.
Yeah,
is that keep on that track and everything's going to work out.
Right. Hey, that's everything that I have, but can go a little bit more if you want.
I wanted to bring up a couple of things. One of them is I wanted to have somebody on our show, and that actually didn't go the way that I wanted to. So Mandy Hollinsby, he was married to Ben Hollinsby, and they're this couple is a friend. They're friends of mine that go back to when I used to live in Chicago. Ben and I became very close friends, and he met Mandy, and they got married and had 3 kids, and they're now I haven't even met their kids, but now 2 of them are in college and one of them is in high school, and I reconnected with them, and I found out that they had moved from Illinois down to South Carolina, and they moved out of Illinois because of the woke kind of mentality that's actually happening in the Chicagoland area where they
Oh,
lived.
it's a mess.
And they had to get their kids out of there. So they moved to South Carolina. Well, Mandy started to find out about the fact that they were teaching her kids critical race theory.
Sure.
And she fortunately found out about this and uh, decided to we've talked about critical race theory. This is all a big sham. It's
It's
meant to
teaching
disunite us,
racism.
and it is going to scar children for the rest of their
Yes.
lives if they go in, and it'll divide people forever.
Yes.
And that's what critical race theory is. It's a disgusting thing. Now, of course, she wanted to fight against this to really protect her kids. And I would say that Mandy Hollinsby is the epitome of a mama bear. And she went in and was like, not going to take that. And what happened in the end was a court case between the school district and
Good.
several plaintiffs that were parents of these children. And fortunately, what had happened in the state was that the state government had recently passed a law to outlaw the teaching of critical race theory. And so
Really?
what Mandy
As a
did,
result of this, or did you say it was
no,
already
no,
in motion?
this was already in place, but
Okay.
the school district didn't care. They were still going full
Wow.
boat, going right towards it and doing this thing. So she sent me the court documents, which I personally get a kick out of reading
Right.
these things, but I could see what she did in there. And here's what she did. It says Ms. Hollinsby said that if you move forward and continue with this critical race theory, then you're going to leave me no choice but to report this to the state government. And what I understand is that once they find out about this, they will defund your school district. And she ended up winning the case. And they
Oh
stopped.
God, I love that. Why did it seem like you framed this in a like you're not going to do the show with her? Because I would
Well,
love for you to
here's
do
what
it.
we're still going to do the show, and but we're going to have to take a little bit of time here because we had planned on doing this this month, and she had gotten a hold of me to tell me that she can't do it because her daughter got diagnosed with brain cancer, a tumor in her brain. She had a cancerous tumor in her brain, and she had to have surgery on her brain. And this was obviously paramount in their lives. And so Mandy and Ben have this whole thing. Now, long story short, the surgery was earlier this month, and their daughter came through in flying colors. But before that happened, there was a whole lot of prayer going on,
Yeah.
and I was praying with them and sending scriptures over to them. And Mandy was just beside herself, saying that she couldn't even. She's a Christian. She said, "I can't even think straight. I can't. Thank you for sending these to me." And they ended up creating this page that's dedicated to people that are in these kinds of situations where people, all the friends and family, can send well wishes and everything. So
Nice.
she put that together, and we were all sending stuff, but it was amazing support from all over the world for this young
Wow.
girl. And the stuff that they wrote in there, they said that this will help the healing process and help her as she's getting in there. The encouragement that was coming from friends and family,
Mm.
it was just beautiful. And then seeing them come out of that, and just the reports that came out, and just the
Oh my
love, and
God.
now they're in recovery mode and everything. They said the doctors are saying that the surgery went very well. There was a little bit of concern that she wasn't going to be able to use her arms like she was before, but that seems to have been overcome. So
That's
all
awesome.
good, and we'll eventually have Mandy on the show. But
Great.
thank God for this woman doing what she did in with the CRT thing, and then
Yes.
just how she just once again, her and her husband Ben swooping in to take care of the family. What a great couple, and I'm just proud to know them, and can't wait to have Mandy on the show to talk about
I
the court case
can't wait
and also
to
this. Yeah,
I
and
can't
just the
wait to view
experience.
that show.
It's going to be
Please
great.
have her share some pictures and all that. Really, let's fully develop that. I can't wait for you to do that show. That's going to be a tremendous show. I have been meaning to reach out to a woman and get her on here. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but I saw a TEDx talk that she did, and she speaks about something about being over like, don't remember the term how she put it, but it's about caregiver fatigue. And dude, this is like on the minds of so many of us and our friends. We're at the age where we're starting to have to make decisions about our parents and our parent usually, and at what time will they possibly need a lot more assistance. And Lisa's been very much has been very much on her mind for good reason. My buddy, my buddy Dan, his mom has been diagnosed with dementia, and she's like so many. You cannot tear her out of her own home, and you don't want to, but she needs 6 hours a day of assistance, and you don't want to get that phone call about finding somebody, and because something, or worse, a car accident where they took someone out and we all knew they should not have been driving, these kinds of things. But this woman talks so eloquently about the fatigue, the stress that we take on. And I don't know, I want to ask her so many questions about if she is the right person. I think, believe it or not, I think that our financial guy would be a good guy to ask some of these questions about tax implications, about investments, about Medicare, Medicaid stuff. There's a lot of stuff we have no idea about.
You're right, Barry. You're exactly right. I could learn from that too. I mean, this is part of life, right? I mean, there's a cycle, there's a circle of life, and we're all a part of it. I mean, gosh, Barry, being 57 years old, I look back and I say, I'm 50, I'm looking at 60 now. How could that? I mean, we started this show as over 50 starting over. I mean, are we going to have to change the name of the show pretty soon? Like
we'll always be over 50, man.
Yeah,
we'll always
true,
be over
true.
50.
But still, it's like, I kind of like being closer to the 50 part,
It's all a name and a number. Lisa and I just had the conversation the other day about, well, how do you feel? And I said, I feel great.
Same.
I know you do. I mean, I feel like very athletic, and I am. I'm riding my bike like a little kid all the time.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of that, I did join Planet Fitness.
Okay, 1 second. I just want to say to anybody listening and to you, Merle, that if you do have particular questions that for the show that I was talking about, I want to try to get all the most common and uncommon questions to ask people about caregiving. Economically, mentally, in every regard. So if you have any questions, bring them on. Go to Over 50 Starting Over and hit the contact us thing. And go ahead. I'm sorry. So you joined a new gym, I think.
Oh, Planet Fitness. So yeah,
my gym too.
And those were a big reason why I joined Planet Fitness. Everything that you had said about it, it was really good. The price is amazing, actually. No, you can't beat that. And Anne-Marie and I, so I got the black card, and I can just bring Anne-Marie with me every time. And so it's like $25 a month. Are you kidding me? Gosh.
And that gives you access to all the other things. There's occasions when I get this back of my neck back problem, tightness from stress going on, and I'll spend for 2 weeks I'm going to use those massage chairs.
Okay, those are amazing. I'm not a big massage person, but when they were like, "Hey, go ahead and sit in this thing," and I sat,
hydro chair,
I could not believe the effectiveness of that, and it was really amazing. But
you
the
can use anything in anyone in the country too. So we go to Florida, we go there.
Yep. And,
Yeah.
you know, it's clean.
Harry, cleanest gym I've ever
The
belonged to.
but the one I go to, that's really, I mean, I have almost the whole place to myself,
I know.
and I can just get into my zone and then get out of there.
Yep.
And it's
Yep.
close by the house, and we've been going for a couple of weeks now, and we're gearing up for a trip to Moab to go
Where's
mountain
that?
biking in Utah. And this is really
Oh, I'm so
mountain
jealous.
biking mecca. And I used to get a cycling magazine for mountain bikes for years, and that would always show these amazing trails in Moab, Utah. And I've always wanted to go, and so now we're getting ourselves in our shape so that we can really enjoy it
Dude,
out
you're in
there, because
shape.
there's going to be some mountain. Oh, I haven't been riding my bicycle
That's
because
a
it's
whole
been so
different thing.
hot.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
so I have to get back into the cardio thing and make
Uh-huh.
sure. And so I'm doing all the a lot of cardio, and I'm doing weights, but I'm doing a lot more cardio in there. And
Good.
that step machine
Oh, that's the hardest
really
thing.
kicks your butt,
It's the
man.
hardest thing in there.
And
Yeah.
I'm doing the rowing machine. I love the rowing
I
machine because
like
it's
it.
such a full body
Yeah.
workout and everything. But more of the, I'm doing the elliptical, I'm doing the steps, I'm doing the treadmill, I'm jogging, I'm just
It's
getting
great,
myself so
man.
that I can just be and just enjoy it as I'm out there, because I want to get the most out of this. So
Well, I definitely would recommend that you hit the stationary bike for a while, if for no other reason, your butt. Because your
yeah, you
butt,
know,
when
that's
like
the thing.
every, after I
You're
get through a
right, Barry.
winter and get back on my bike,
Takes
the
2 weeks.
yeah, I'd say 1 week for me. But that
Okay.
first week, my butt
Yeah, you're
hurts.
right. It's right.
Yeah. So, and there's
It's
also
terrible.
different muscles no matter what you try to do.
Yeah.
But I'm not a fan. Like, I hate when the weather takes that turn for the winter, and I can't ride my bike to the gym anymore. And I just say, I got to
Yeah.
find one of those hamster wheels to get on. That's so boring. I love riding my
It
bike.
is, but you know, the secret is that, you know, you have something to listen to.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so Anne Marie and I have both forgotten our headphones one time. So the last time we went, Anne Marie forgot hers. Oh, she was so mad. I was so mad when I forgot
Yeah.
mine too. And it is a totally different experience when you
It
don't have
is.
your thing to listen to. And I
Right.
was telling Anne Marie, see, you forget one time, and that's going to teach you not to do that again.
It's
And
very
so
true. I had mine fizzle out on me. I forgot to totally recharge them. And
mhm.
the other morning they fizzled out halfway through the workout. I cut my workout short. And I hate to say that, because there's a very cerebral side of me that says this happened for a reason. Just stay present and use this as a different experience, and a good experience of, look at everybody and feel the love for your common man. And I'm like, I gotta go. you know,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
uh I love my
I bet.
podcast when I'm working out.
I know, right? It's great. You
Yeah.
can just really get into a zone and everything. So I did that. And then here's another one. I just got new glasses recently,
I need
and
to do that.
you know, I
I need
hadn't
them for
been.
distances. Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't been to the to get glasses for like 3 or 4 years, and I was driving at night. Actually, during the day, I was driving. I had my sunglasses on, which are prescription.
Mhm.
I'm like, I can't. I feel like I can't see,
Mm.
and I took my glasses off. I feel like I can see better without my glasses on, and so I went to the eye doctor, and I found out in my right eye it's completely corrected itself. It's 2020 now.
Oh
My
my
left eye
God.
is not. I
Mhm.
have astigmatism in my left eye, so I needed to have an adjustment there.
Uh,
So they were asking me about these progressives, and every time I've gotten, if you want these progressives, I tried it years ago. Do you know what progressives are?
no.
So it's almost like bifocals, but it's not like bifocals. You figure that's the old man glasses there, but
Yeah.
these progressives, it progressively turns into the reason you have bifocals is you're farsighted and
Yep.
nearsighted,
Yep. Yep.
right? So I have a little bit of nearsighted
I
thing
wanted to
going.
ask you, how are you with small print? It's
Yeah,
just
it
starting to get to
started
be a
getting
problem
harder
for
and
yeah,
harder. Yeah.
just
So
starting.
they put something in there down at the bottom for that. And I can see, like, I can read so much better now with those,
That's
but you
good to
kind
hear.
of got to get used
Oh,
to
I
that
bet.
whole syndrome of having that there. And I am not there. I was driving last night, and I almost like had to skid to a stop. It's because I was like, I totally misjudged this, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm getting used to this or not. So,
Oh
anyhow, just
man.
they say that it takes a little bit of getting used to, and they said
Okay.
also that if you don't like it, come back and we'll change them out. So we'll see what happens. I'll keep you posted.
I have to do the same. Now, I hadn't been to my eye doctor in at least 5 years. I'm sure it's more than 5 years. And she said back then, she goes, next time you come in, you're supposed to come in every 2 years. She goes, next time you come in, you're probably going to need bifocals. And I'm like, no
Mm.
way. Well, I just now starting to have problems with small print.
Yeah, me too. And I love to read, and it's just I'm reading slower and slower. It's like I can't get them. And then why are these books with such small print? Damn, on it, It's like
Yeah.
I'm sounding like
Yeah.
that guy.
Yeah.
That's
Now, I
funny. I
will
had one
say,
more thing too. Go ahead.
okay, well, think about that. I was just saying, but my distances thing does not seem to have gotten any worse. And it's always been a fairly mild prescription, I'm happy to say. And it does not seem to have gotten any worse. But I think the smart thing to do is to go back to the eye doctor now and probably get the bifocal thing or get started, find out where I'm at. I also think I need a more stylish pair of glasses, but I've
Yeah.
never worn them on the show, so nobody would know. Yeah.
I was trying to wear my glasses like just now that I have that thing just at my desk, because
Sure.
you have like your glasses on for farsighted, I can't read things.
Okay.
That's really the problem. But now with that, I can, but you got to kind of look at it
Yeah.
down here, and
You're gonna start wearing the glasses way down your nose, like the
yeah.
stereotypical.
I
Who is
don't.
that? Schumer? Schumer always looks
Oh,
like
he
Chuck
always
Schumer.
does that. Yeah, Chuck
Yeah.
Schumer with those
I
down
think he
there.
thinks he looks cool like that.
I think
I do.
who's telling him that? Because it's not cool.
I
I
don't
don't want to
know.
be that guy.
Yeah. Who do you dislike more than Schumer? And I have to say it's Schiff, Adam Schiff.
You know what? I do not like Schiff more than Schumer, but I mean it's such a they're pretty close to each other. But yeah,
Yeah.
Schiff, and I don't know, it's just the expressions on his face and those bulbous
Oh,
eyes that he has.
well, he looks like he's it's like his face is saying, I am so lying to you right
Yeah,
now,
yeah,
as he's
right.
saying all this dumb stuff. Yeah.
I
So
know.
how
And
does he
how does
have a
he get away
job?
with that? Yeah.
Yeah.
How
After
did he
4 years of Russian conspiracy. Oh, guarantee that
I,
we have the goods.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now he was the head of our intelligence committee, and he said all these things that were clearly lies to the
Mhm.
American
Mhm.
people, making up a threat. And here Trump has got almost 100 indictments. Okay, if he's got 100, how many should Adam Schiff have? I mean,
Right,
right? I
right.
mean, if let's have if this is the standard, then make it a standard for everybody, not just that one guy. I would say that about 90% of the people in Congress actually should have the same indictments.
I agree
Uh,
with you.
and
And
also
that's
our
a sorry
president,
state.
he's lied to us many times. And hey, how about those Bidenomics? I mean, he's out there talking about how they lowered the inflation rate to 3%, but what he's leaving out is that we're still 20% higher in our prices than we
Yeah.
were when you started. So what you're taking a victory lap now? Like,
Oh,
come on, man.
there's so many dumb people that buy this crap, though.
Who who is
Oh,
buying that? Like,
not
if
your,
you go to
not,
the store and
yeah.
you pay $100 more than you would for the same thing, how do you not recognize that?
I don't know, buddy, but we got a lot of gullible people in this country. I
That
had a
is
note
true.
that I skipped over, but since you went there, Biden finally got shamed into visiting Maui.
I heard.
And yeah, so he was going from Martha's Vineyard to Lake Lake Tahoe on vacation to vacation. And did you see the video where he's asked, "Hey, are you going to visit Maui?" And he smiled and said no comment.
No comment. Yep, that's right. And then that was the most shameful thing
Oh, but it's
that
a
I've seen.
daily occurrence. How can you say it's the most? I mean, did he top the last 100? I mean,
To me, it's just,
he doesn't
in
know
the
what he's
face
saying.
of these people burned to death. And to say no comment as the president, how callous
With that
can you
stupid
be to
smirk of
be?
his.
And you smile when you say that, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I go back to the event that happened in Ohio with the train wreck
Oh
and
yeah,
all those
yeah.
chemicals that went up into
Is
the
it
air, and
New
they
Palestine, North
didn't yeah,
Palestine, New
yeah, didn't
Palestine?
talk about that. And I mean,
Right.
didn't go and visit.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems like I remember when George Bush, when Katrina happened, and George Bush flew over New Orleans, didn't
Yeah.
actually land. He flew
Right.
over, and I remember
They took a
the
picture
film
of
of
him
his
looking
face,
concerned.
looking,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Okay, he got lambasted for
Yeah.
that. Like, I mean, they demonized the heck out of him. He should have landed. He should have gotten out and talked to
Yeah.
the people. I don't know
Yeah.
why he didn't do that, but here, this guy won't even comment on it.
He's just taking vacations. He's clearly not in charge of anything.
No,
He's, you know,
no.
all right. Well, that got
It's
us
a
all
shame. The
worked up.
whole Maui thing. I hope, my hope is that this opens up the eyes of really everyone to see these. We need to make some serious changes here in this country.
We
And
do.
I'm not, you know, I could sit here and just, oh, bash Joe Biden. Okay, Joe Biden's part of it, but the whole kit and caboodle. I
It's the
mean,
system.
it's not a Republican Democrat thing. This
Oh,
is an
no, it's not.
American thing. We
Yep.
need to take back our land from these people
We need
who
to
have
take back our
commandeered
companies,
everything.
our
Yeah,
land, our companies, our government. I mean, it's
what
an
we've
authoritarian type of
yeah,
thing going on.
what we have described at various times during this podcast regarding our country is that we have devolved into a fascist government
Mhm.
where the business and the government have collaborated. They are the same now,
With the media.
and yeah, they are all in. And this is not the America that we had when we were growing up, and we need to take it back. That's really all there is to it. We need to take our country back, and we need to restore our republic and the rule of law. Look what's happened to our justice system.
Yeah.
We do have a two-tiered justice system right
Oh
now.
God, yeah. It's so obvious. There's so many things that all of this, they do it right in front of our face, and it's like, laugh about it. There's nothing
Yeah,
you can do.
yeah, they're just like the, you know, the smirk on Joe Biden's face as he says no comment to Americans that burnt up. And when you
Yeah.
start to understand that the cluster F that happened over there with the water and being able to put the fire out, they ran out of water, and then
Their
they had to go through
infrastructure never
this
tended
whole
to.
thing. Yeah, it just, everything was geared towards, this is going to be a major disaster. It was a bad thing, but people made it a lot worse. Their government made it a lot worse. Their processes made it a lot worse. There was no the alarm system that was supposed to go off didn't go off. The fire department didn't have water to put the fire out. The fire, it started, when the fire started, they had it 70% contained, and then they left it, and they were not supposed to leave it, but they left it. And then the winds came in, and they knew the winds were going to come in, and then it turned into this. So I mean, if you start to look at every little detail of it, it was a complete you know, crisis from man created, really. This thing could have been a minor fire that got put out, and then that's all we heard.
All these things. And all the while, what are we doing? We're now giving Ukraine $25 billion a quarter. A quarter. More. We're surpassing anything that we've done in Afghanistan in 20 years. And
Mm,
they're
mm.
passing them in these bills. I got this from Crystal and Sagar, so forgive me for the sloppy way that I say it. But so they're passing them in these bills that, like, most people cannot, they put them in with very important things that most people cannot not vote on. And they pass it on through, and you don't talk about it that way, because the big important stuff was over top of it. And how is that legal? We're still doing that.
You know what?
25 billion a quarter, 100 billion. We're on track for $100 billion a year. And they're going to keep that little money train going as long as they can.
Look at what happened in Iraq. was Saddam Hussein. You know, Saddam Hussein was fighting against Iran, and we were enemies with Iran. So we pumped up Saddam Hussein, gave him all kinds of weapons, and then he used them against us. Afghanistan, the same thing. We gave them a hold when they were fighting the Russians. We gave them all kinds of Stinger missiles and all that kind of stuff.
Taliban is in control in 2 weeks, and what we left something like how much $100 million worth of artillery and Black Hawk.
Yeah. And then we gave them that whole Air Force base, and we gave them planes, and we gave them tanks, and we gave them ammunition. And now they're one of the major military forces in the world now, because we gave them that through our tax dollars.
And again, we all know, this was my point, we all know this is going on, and there's nothing we can do about it. Military industrial complex right there.
Yeah. And this week is the anniversary of the pullout in Afghanistan 2 years ago. And you just remember those horrible scenes and the terrorist explosion that happened. And now you've got these parents, the Gold Star parents that testified in the last 2 weeks about how they were treated, how the bodies of their children were treated, how they weren't actually told the truth about what happened to their children. There's one mother that's talking about how she was told that her son died immediately after the explosion, and then found out later that that was not the truth, and he had said all of these things, did things to help the other people that had been injured, and they totally did not tell her that. And I mean, these are the people that should be treated the best, the heroes of our country. And this is how our government treats those people, the mothers and fathers of those people. There's something wrong. There's just something wrong here.
And what has happened, there a regression of women's rights back in Afghanistan since the pullout is disgusted. They could barely leave they're barely allowed to leave their houses or do participate in anything over there.
And my understanding that I just read this week is that we are sending money on a regular basis from the United States to the Taliban.
Because in the guise of human rights stuff.
And they're going to help women with that money. Right.
No, it's amazing what we do with that. Can you imagine if a little bit of common sense was applied to our taxpayer dollars, that we would all be wealthy?
That's right. But that can't happen because of how this whole thing is set up. And if you start studying the Federal Reserve Bank and find out who those people are, this is the scam, man. It's the scam.
I have to go.
So do I.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Let's wrap it up. This was a great show. Great talking with you, Barry. I really enjoyed it. Make sure you share the show with all your friends and relatives. Pass the word around. This is really important stuff that we talked about here today.
And go to over50startingover.com and sign up for our emailing list. You'll get all this right to your email box as it happens. I'll have it out this afternoon.
And don't forget to like us online.
And share. Yeah, you said share. Okay. Love you, Merle. Have a good weekend.
Love you too, Barry. Bye.